Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In regards to today's video, I actually want to piggyback off of yesterday and even the day before's video in regards to the budget. Now, 2 days ago, we saw David Dodge predict how bad he thought the budget would be. And now since the budget is out, this is what he had to say.
Now, you may remember that on Monday's Budget Eve edition of this show, former Bank of Canada Governor David Dodge predicted the Minister Freeland would deliver the worst federal budget in decades. So what does he think now? Let's find out. David Dodge is with us live. Hi, Mr. Dodge. Good to have you back.
Well, it was certainly a bad one, Bashi. And
Okay, you preempted my first question.
The irony is, while she's aimed to help the younger generation, what she has done, in fact, is not raise their potential future income, but have certainly increased their potential liabilities in terms of interest payments.
Now, to me, this is pretty significant because not only is David the former governor of the Bank of Canada, he's also a liberal. And we've now started to hear some other liberals come out against this budget, how much of a disaster it is. And one of them is none other than Chrystia Freeland's former predecessor, Bill Morneau. And Pierre decides to let Justin know all about this.
Mr. Speaker, David Dodge, proud Liberal and former Liberal appointee as governor of the central bank, said that this would be the worst budget in over 40 years. It turned out he was right. We've had John Manley, who said the Prime Minister is pushing on the inflationary gas pedal, Manley being a former Liberal finance minister. Now we even have Bill Morneau condemning the government of which he was the former finance minister. Mr. Speaker, why is it that so many Liberals have come to the conclusion that this Prime Minister is not worth the cost?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there are people like the Conservative Party of Canada that are going to choose to stand with the ultra-wealthy and not stand with young people who need better supports as we ensure more housing, more investments, more opportunities for them to succeed in an economy that is increasingly tilted towards the ultra-wealthy, away from young people and the middle class. That's why we're going to continue to step up and put money in the pockets of Canadians who need it by asking the wealthiest to pay a little bit more, something the Conservatives will continue to stand against because they stand with the ultra-wealthy.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, all the adults in the Liberal and NDP parties are saying that this budget is irresponsible. We have John Manley, former Liberal finance minister, saying this Prime Minister is pushing on the inflationary gas pedal. David Dodge, renowned Liberal, is saying it could be the worst budget in 4 decades. Bill Morneau, remember him? And before he became Bill No More, he said that this is a troubling budget, and even Tom Mulcair says that there's too much going to debt interest. Isn't this like the NDP Liberal marriage? The parents went away and the rambunctious, restless kids went and trashed the place?
Now, I gotta say, I can't really argue with that analogy. The place is pretty trash after 8-9 years of Trudeau. But in regards to what Pierre was talking about on Tom Mulcair, he was on CTV talking about the budget and how bad it is, and how whatever Trudeau's goal was to kind of save the younger generation, he's failed at it and he's not going to be able to.
Well, let's talk a little bit of budget. And did this hit the mark for young Canadians? That's who he was targeting.
That's the most important question, and I think it fell way short. I mean, it's one thing after 8.5 years to say, oh, I finally get it, after saying that it was not federal responsibility. Now I'm going to start doing something about housing. There are actually some interesting measures in there, but it's not going to do anything between now and the next election. He was trying to get back the millennials and the Gen Zs, the ones who are 43 and under, and I think it fell way short. They know that Trudeau completely let them down for the past 8.5 years. They know that they're the first generations in Canadian history to actually be poorer than their parents, to have less of a chance of owning a home. And you know, Roger, Mr. Trudeau's been talking about the middle class and people who work hard to join the middle class. What's a better symbol that you've joined the middle class than the ability to own a home? And for those generations, it's just not within their grasp. If you live in a place like Vancouver or Toronto, good luck trying to buy a home. And so Poilievre is sticking to his message and not taking the bait with regard to the capital gains tax increase, which is substantial and will not be hurting the richest of the rich, as many small business groups and journalists now, it's taken a couple of days for the dust to settle on this. They're pointing out, hey, you're really giving a sock in the jaw to a lot of small business people, entrepreneurs, artisans who, they don't get a government pension. They might have bought a triplex, live in one of them, rent out the other two. All of a sudden, they're going to get hit with a whopping increase in their capital gains. A 33% increase in what has to be brought into income. People are finally starting to notice that and know it's not Trudeau going after the super rich. He's going after super ordinary Canadians, and they're starting to see it.
No, I would say a good majority of Canadians know that Trudeau is after them, especially when we had the whole trucker situation. But maybe more will start to realize that it's not all sunshine and rainbows over there in the government. But as we shift back to the question period, Trudeau, I don't think, understands that when Liberals and NDP attack him, it means that it's not a partisanship situation.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, while the Leader of the Opposition continues to focus on partisan attacks, we're going to stay focused on building a better future for Canadians. Speaking of inflation, Mr. Speaker, this is the third month in a row in which inflation has been within the Bank of Canada's target range. That is because we continue to govern responsibly in a fiscally sound way that is at the forefront of the G7, even as we step up to invest in Canadians and in their future. Confident countries invest in themselves and their people, Mr. Speaker. That is what we are doing, while the Conservatives propose to do less, to invest less, to support Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, it's not me that's doing personal or partisan attacks against this Prime Minister's agenda. It's his fellow Liberals and New Democrats. It's his coalition partner who simultaneously attacks everything he does and then enthusiastically stands up to support it. It's the Prime Minister who attacks his immigration minister for letting the system get completely out of control and then attacks himself for doubling housing costs, making life so unfair. If they're so busy attacking themselves and their own record, why don't they just call a carbon tax election so Canadians can vote them out?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker.
Excuse me. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this government is making the choice to invest in a fairer future for all Canadians, for every generation. That is the choice we're making. Now, the Conservatives are continuing to choose to stand with the wealthiest in this country, choose to do less to invest in childcare, less to invest in solving the housing crisis, less to support young people across the country who need to feel the opportunities they can build in the future again. We will continue to be there to put money in the pockets of Canadians, to put homes in their communities, to build a stronger future for them and their families, while the Conservatives continue to promote cuts and austerity.
That's right.
I think I would possibly have a little bit more respect for this guy if he was just at least open and honest like he said he was, instead of gaslighting us and just sticking to his talking points. Because now we have multiple different party affiliations coming out saying that this budget is actually going to be hurting everyday Canadians, where he just keeps talking about helping us and taxing the one percenters, when in reality, this is not what's going to be happening. But as always, this is just my opinion. I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.